I think Mark's gonna do the full intro. We can do that later, and then
We'll do that. We don't need to have you on for that. I'll do it later.
yeah. Get a few takes on that one.
And it won't be behind every good man is a good woman. I promise you that.
Behind every good man is a woman. Yeah.
Behind every successful man is a good woman. Yeah, I won't use that one.
Can I make some funny kitchen comments, or is that off limits?
Oh,
No.
Nothing's off limits. I mean, especially if we can edit, just go for it.
That's again. Before you start, we really appreciate you taking the time. This will be fun.
Absolutely, no problem.
Yeah, it's cool for us.
She listened to Laurel listened to Dana.
Oh, nice, awesome.
Yeah, I listened to Harold Dean and all of Dana's and one other one. I'm forgetting right now, but anyway.
And what was
Eli on this, or was Mark? Was he on something else?
He was on something else. He was on the Zoom, the live Zoom, the Twitch,
the 2K tournament. Yeah, he jumped on his Twitch stream.
He was really good.
He got yeah.
He just started laughing.
Laura, were you guys married? Were you married when he was still playing in the NBA, or is that after? I don't know the timeline.
No, we got married. We met when he was still in the NBA. Well,
okay.
We got married right after his third season, and he was planning on playing again, but he was hurt, and he never.
Okay.
So
got it.
I kept beating him up in the middle of the night, so he couldn't.
Enough playing.
All right, here we go. Laurel Bennett now joins. Are we recording, T-Dub? Sorry.
Yep, I'm recording. We're good.
I just see it now. 3, 2, 1. Laurel Bennett now joins us. Laurel, thanks so much for coming on.
Yes, happy to be here.
So we're going to start with a different question than we typically ask. And our Charles Barkley, Dougie.
Laurel, I'm a couple years younger than Coach Bennett, Tony Bennett to you. And so I knew him as an NBA player. And I've also, because I'm UVA, and thank goodness he's our coach, have been able to follow him. He's kind of a famously handsome figure, both as a basketball player and a coach. And I'm only curious, is there a stick that's involved to beat the people back? Has it changed since being an NBA player and a coach? Or has that been consistent?
I'll tell you two things. One, when we were in Washington State, they had quite a lot of people who made these T-shirts, ladies, that all said, "Our coach is hotter than yours." It was quite hilarious, but I usually tell Tony that it's pretty much the ages of 75 to 80 who are wise and know, a good man when they see one, are the ones that actually think he's attractive. Everybody else is just mesmerized by TV,
All right. I'm going to say two things to that. One, on Ty's unofficial visit, I've never seen anything like it where we couldn't walk 300 feet without a girl between 8 and a woman to 80 had to stop him and take a picture. And I was like, oh my goodness, this guy is outrageous. This is like a rock star. It truly was a rock star.
Have you ever seen, was it Talladega Nights where Will Ferrell's wife is beautiful and he keeps telling her how ugly she is the whole movie? I have that job.
The other one is, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, I of course think he's cute, very, very cute. And other people seem to share that opinion. So what can you do? Yeah,
including some of the girlfriends that I brought to your house on some trips down to Charlottesville, who I think may have been using me just to get an invite to get close to him.
You say whatever works.
Whatever works, sign them up.
Yeah, right. So, Laura, you grew up in Louisiana, born and raised?
Baton Rouge. Yep, born and raised.
Baton Rouge. What did your parents do when you were young?
My mom worked for a judge for all of my growing up, like a legal secretary. My dad did a ton of different jobs. He's like a real entrepreneur, business type. He's always starting a company before everybody else was starting companies, and he would make a lot of money, lose a lot of money. He was just always in charge of whatever he was doing. He didn't usually have a boss. And he moved a lot. My parents were divorced, so I saw my dad's like weekends, summers, and holidays and that kind of thing. But yeah.
I ask about your parents because if people don't know you and they don't understand how humble you are, right? And it's not just Tony Bennett, but you are one of the most humble people I've ever met.
You're very kind to say that. I always think,
Right
why
on cue.
should I be humble? I mean, whatever. I'm not doing anything to be.
No, it's natural, of course, and it's just who you are, right? It's one of the qualities you have that makes you so special. And is that something that was instilled by your parents at an early age?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't think we talked about it. It's cool to think back with Tony's life as far as those pillars. He really grew up with that for most of his life, humility being kind of a pillar, at least of the basketball program. And I would imagine as being part of our household, even though we don't have that, it's like our family principles. Our kids grow up hearing about that so much. We didn't talk about that. I don't remember, but I mean, I think my parents are both humble people. I will say that they are other-centered people. So I think actions, speak louder than words. So yeah, I think I learned that from them.
So you brought the pillars up, which I think has become so prevalent and famous with Virginia and Virginia basketball, but even bigger. I think a lot of the community respected and kind of at least pretend like I can do like 3.5 of them. I can't do all 5, but I'm working on it.
I have to have that. It helps me remember. T for Tony. T push. That's got all of them in there right there. Thankfulness, passion, unity, servanthood, humility.
And so that's part of your household as well, I assume, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's just everywhere. We can't get away from it if we tried, so.
Well, wait a minute. Now you gave Dougie an opportunity, a place where he has to remember them. He didn't want to hear that. He didn't want to be reminded.
No, I can remember them. I'm talking about being able to implement them. The H is hard.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant. Yeah, it took me a long time to even remember them, honestly. So much less implement them.
But I think too, just being from the South, like I'm from the South, Fayetteville, Tennessee. You're from the South. There's a certain humility. You're not allowed to brag, right? You're not allowed to sort of be. It's kind of the way it is.
Yes.
But
Church on Sundays.
It's more than that. It's so much more than that when you're around, when I've been around you. I mean, like you're constantly thinking of other people, right? And I'm not just, just saying stuff just to say it. I'm really not. It's really true. You make people comfortable around you and you're giving and you're generous and you're just a really nice person to be around. And I it's not lip service. It's reality. And I don't mean to put you on the spot and make you feel uncomfortable, but it's rare. Well, I don't want to say it's rare, but I mean, you really feel it when someone's around you. And I think your kids have it too. And of course, your husband. So I guess your kids had no choice, right?
That's right. They get spanked. I grew up with spanking. I have no problem with that.
Same.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I actually grew up in Louisiana. So instead of spankings, there were spankings, but my kids grew up, and this is no joke. They will be happy to tell you, if they would speak badly, then I would make them put a couple of drops of Tabasco on their tongues. And I wouldn't let them wash their mouth out for like a minute. Did you have to do that, Doug?
So no, I used to get the soap. I used to get, but my words weren't even that bad, which is just another story.
Well, same thing, just Cajun twist, Tabasco.
Where were your 2 children born? Were they in Washington at the time, or?
Both born in Madison, Wisconsin, which is where we were living at the time. And Tony was working with his dad.
Okay.
It's so weird to me that my kids were born in Wisconsin, but.
Right.
So how did you end up in Charlotte, North Carolina?
Kind of random. I knew a family that lived up there, and in my senior year of college, I wanted to go to grad school up in North Carolina. So I thought, well, I'll go up there, stay with them for over Christmas break and see if I can find a job, get residency, then go on to grad school. And so I went up there, found a job over Christmas break, and moved up there in May and met Tony at the church where I was working with the youth group. That was my job. So.
Were you right in Charlotte? I have family in Rock Hill, North Carolina.
I was in Charlotte. And what'd you ask me then?
No, I have family in Rock Hill, North Carolina, so that's all.
Yeah, right next to
Carowinds and all that stuff. So I know.
Oh yeah, Carowinds.
Right.
What was the roller coaster at Carowinds? Do you remember?
Oh, I do not remember. I remember riding it, but I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
So here's the real question I think everybody wants to know.
Oh,
You met this basketball player at church, which that's probably like a cheap move on his part, but it's a church. What was the pickup line? Did he like offer you as him? Did he try to turn your pages to 768 or something like that?
he had gotten scoop that I didn't realize, but he knew I went to LSU, so we actually started talking about LSU basketball. Shaquille O'Neal and Jackson, they were both there when I was there. Abdul Mahmoud Rauf in the NBA, but so I saw awesome basketball. So he came. I was handing out programs, and he came to get a program, and I don't know how he steered it toward LSU basketball, but that was that.
Wow, Shaquille! Shout out Shaquille, Stanley Roberts, and Mahmoud.
Twin Towers.
That was awesome.
Chris Jackson was so much fun to watch.
Oh my gosh, amazing!
He was so good. People don't know how good he was.
They really
people forget.
Staying in the NBA and conquering Tourette's. I actually think Tourette's helped him in some way. I mean, that sounds weird, but we have a good friend who played basketball at Wake Forest, a girl, and she kind of watched him and tried to mimic his game, and she didn't know he had Tourette's, and she actually tried to practice those stuff, the tics.
It's funny. A teammate of mine and a former Virginia absolute legend, Bryant Stith, played with him. You know, BJ's dad. He played with him at Denver.
Okay.
So I got to meet him a couple times. But Bryant's had some interesting stories around that.
I'm sure he had.
That's a red thing. So.
Yeah, I've read he has to tie his shoes a certain way, and like practicing, he had to have the net sound a certain way on makes. It wasn't just like making it; like the net had to sound a certain way. And some nights, he was saying that he would go until like basically his feet were bleeding because the net didn't sound right, and he would not leave until it sounded right. And like that's very telling in terms of like how it helped him, right? It's sort of like OCD.
I have to not shoot 300. I have to make 300, and I have to swish 300. And it was just
Yeah, he said if it's not a swish, it doesn't count for back in the day, Chris Jackson. So another cheesy former basketball player question. Were you ever a good rebounder?
Oh, the best. We literally on our honeymoon brought a bag full of basketball gear to work out. We have videos from our honeymoon on an outside basketball court doing ladder drills. I did them also. Ladder drills and, whatever, footwork and rebounding and, shooting games.
Did you guys go to a tropical location like Green Bay, Wisconsin for the honeymoon? Something like that?
Hawaii. We took that bag all the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is selfish on me. Jason Williford played with me, and he always tells me how competitive Tony Bennett is. Forget the basketball games. He's a coach. Of course, he wants to win. Yeah. But he'll tell stories where they'll be at a restaurant and there's a pop shot back in the day. And he said Tony cannot leave until he has the high score on that pop shot. Sweating, mad, throwing the ball, whatever.
We've been playing spike ball over quarantine. We actually haven't played for a couple weeks because there's a big family fight. But we had to quit. But Tony's sweating. None of us are sweating. We're all playing hard because we're all competitive, but Tony is like 100%. It's all he can do. The Jay Huff story that I think Dana mentioned about that, recruits come on ping pong, on recruiting visits, and they play ping pong. And, Tony's sliding. He's like in defensive stance, sweating and breathing hard, and we always tease him just like he can't handle it.
I gotta catch him on the ping pong table because I'm nasty.
Oh, yeah?
I got to try this. Yeah, if he's lefty though, it's tougher for me. Left-handers are tricky.
It's just serve. He's got to. Our son always tells him it's illegal serve. It's not fair, but.
Right. I know exactly what that is.
So the ping pong table in the locker room.
Yeah.
Was that his idea? So he could.
No, I think it was.
That's smart.
I heard there was an epic game once between Tony Bennett and Ty Jerome. Actually, two kind of fairly competitive guys.
I have no doubt. I don't know that story, but he is ultra competitive. He plays cards. I can only beat him at cards, so I like to play cards. He's still competitive, but I can win. So.
Well, did you hear are you watching the Michael Jordan?
Oh yeah. I
So
was
did
just
you,
thinking about that. Yeah.
yeah.
Talking about this.
Did you hear the story where he talks about how if he lost, he had to stay up and play? He made people stay up and play till he won
Yeah.
or till he controlled. Yeah.
Amazing. How about him with the ushers or whoever the security
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah.
Pitching
Don't-
pennies, pitching dimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually am guilty of doing that, playing board games and making people not leave the room until I got a little bit of that in me too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Where did you guys go on your first date?
Our first date, we went and saw Shawshank Redemption and Ben and Jerry's. That's a hard date to beat right there.
Yeah. Was it like were you hooked at that point?
Well, I like to tease Tony that if we wouldn't have seen the best movie of all time, the best ice cream of all time, it wouldn't have happened all so fast. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about that night, but it was a great start, and it didn't take long. We got married, or we got engaged in like 3 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a love at first sight scenario. That's
Absolutely.
great.
Crazy.
What was the flavor of ice cream?
Ooh, what would I have gotten? Tony would have gotten chocolate, 100%. I actually have no idea what I got. I don't know.
So before we get into your time and your work as a youth minister and your time with the church, we're gonna change the order of how we typically go.
Okay.
And Dougie has a question for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. This is don't forget, I'm University of Virginia, 1993, back when we were really, really good.
Okay.
And we like to put everybody on the spot, and it's your own criteria. It can be who you think's the coolest, the nicest, or the best basketball player. But it's your Virginia basketball Mount Rushmore, all the way back as far as you want, all the way until you want. You get 5 though.
Okay.
So
I like the disclaimer that it's my things that make it qualify, because it's too hard to try to say my favorite people, my favorite basketball players, the best team all together, because there's lots of ways you could go. But I'm just going to say like the top 5 people that come to my mind for different reasons.
Oh, by the way, if you pause more than 6 seconds, my face goes up, just so you know.
Well, were you number 11?
Yes.
He was.
I mean, that was an honorable mention right there. Number 11, 90.
Yes.
You made honorable mention, Dougie.
Yes,
Yeah.
I get it. That's all. That's the best I've ever been. So, you know.
Anyway, you have to say Ralph. Everybody has to say Ralph. There's no way you can't say Ralph.
Yep.
And I've told Mark this before, and this is not a joke. Ty Drone's the only player that I've actually gone up to. I want to make sure I'm right. Definitely while he was here, that I've gone up to and been like, "You're my favorite guy to watch on the court." I absolutely loved watching Ty play. I'd pick him as point guard just because, even if other ones were better, I would never know it. So yeah, Ty, I'm gonna put him in there. Joe, I gotta put Joe in there. And let's see. This is one probably a lot of people don't say, but I thought Mike Scott was awesome. His senior year, he didn't miss, and he's endured, in the league. So I'm gonna go with Mike. And who I'll take my other guard?
Nice.
I don't want to say all the guys while I was here. That doesn't seem fair. I mean, I guess you're gonna go with Crotty or Stiff, unoriginal, but probably.
You know me well. That's a good list. We've had a couple of Mike Scotts. I'd call them the OGs of the Tony Bennett era. Really appreciate that crossover time that he was a big part of it. He also played 9 years at Virginia, so that's a little unfair.
It did seem like that. You're right.
They only gave me 4, and I was threatening to go pro every year, and it never really happened. So
That's true.
great list. That's a great list.
Yeah, all great guys too.
Not too bad. Typically, we do that at the end, but Dougie has a work conflict, so he may be dropping off.
I'm at work.
Yeah,
Laurel, that was great. I look forward to coming down and playing ping pong one of these days with you guys.
Like Mark said, it's in the locker room, so I'm sure Tony will definitely take you up on that.
That's awesome. All right. Thanks for everything. Thanks for the national championship, by the way. It's a huge deal to all of us.
Yes, me too.
All right.
See you.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, Fresh.
quick today.
So, Laura, what was it like, I guess, traveling with being a wife of an NBA player? What were your days like?
Well, yeah, Tony wasn't in the NBA anymore after we got married. We went to Cleveland because he was, I guess, I don't know if he got tryout. He was a free agent, so he went to their camp. So that's the only real experience once we were married that we had NBA wise. And then he was injured, rehabbing. We went over to New Zealand, and he with the thought that he's going to get healthy and then come back. But then we fell in love with different things in New Zealand and just totally rerouted. So I really don't. I went to games. We were dating. I went to games while he was still, on the roster with the Hornets. But I can say that all the wives were. I was probably an embarrassment because all the wives were up there, and I did not realize it was like a big thing. You really are supposed to get ready for these games and look your very bestest. And I would go in my baseball cap and sit there with probably in that section. People are probably like, geez, what's up with this? But that was my only real experience with the NBA stuff with Tony Bennett.
So do you guys ever talk about Charlotte, the struggles at playing at Charlotte, right, as a coach versus his time while he was a player at Charlotte?
Yeah, I mean, because let's see, we lost, obviously, that was the UMBC loss. Did we lose to Carolina there too in the tournament?
Yeah. And to Florida State in the ACC tournament.
Okay, that's right. I forgot we did that there.
Michigan State a couple of years prior, and I think it was at this 32 or Sweet 16.
Was in Charlotte?
Yeah, in Charlotte.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Charlotte will always hold a special place in our heart because we met there, he played there. I don't think you can erase that. You can't even trump that. So, and even after the UMBC, I'm pretty sure, was it Kyle and Ty that went with Tony back for the ACC Media Day in Charlotte? It was the first time they'd been back since that loss. And Tony said right away, look, I'm bringing you guys on purpose because we need to just go back and face that place and, make new good memories and be done with that. And I think that's how we see Charlotte. It has that, but even that's not, it's a bad memory in and of itself, but so much more connotation now that even that doesn't feel like a bad memory,
Hey, they're good memories too, Mark. Ty's first bucket.
Absolutely. Yeah. He talks about that. He's like saying, this is where it's so ironic that this is where I lost this game against UMBC and Florida State. And then I got my first basket.
Mike Tobey's first bucket.
What's that?
Mike Tobey's first bucket, also in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Isaiah Wilkins, also Charlotte. It's a lot. There's a lot of history there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So how did you develop your relationship with the church? And was that something you did throughout high school and college and then in Charlotte?
Yeah. In high school, I went to a high school that got bought by a Christian school. We were like going bankrupt. Christian school bought my high school. And that was really the first time that I was around a lot of Christian people. Started going to church with just friends and got involved kind of with their youth group and went on some trips and just was intrigued, initially just like, wow, I mean, all these people really buy into this, and even growing up in the South, it wasn't like I hadn't heard it, but I hadn't really it wasn't part of my life. So yeah, I got real involved in high school, stayed involved in college, especially over the summers. I worked with this ministry team over all summers. And then it was just kind of my only experience. So once I went to look for a job and wanted to live in North Carolina, I was like, makes sense. I'll go to work at a church with a youth group. And I had such a heart for that age just because that's when I had been introduced and everything. So, yeah.
And then both of you guys continued that work in New Zealand. Is that right?
Yep. We met an American pastor over there planning a church, got involved, and he asked us to stay in different capacities. And we felt very strongly we wanted to do that. So,
what was life like in New Zealand for you?
It was beautiful, first of all, and it was it was fun because it was like an extended honeymoon. We had just gotten married, really. And so, we were over there in this beautiful place. We lived on a house looking right over the ocean. That was the only thing we said because they didn't really pay hardly anything. But we were like, we just want a house so we can see the ocean near an Italian restaurant and a church. And so that's what we had. And it was awesome. We had so much time together. I did miss my friends. It was isolating to be that far away right away. We were getting married, but beautiful people there also. And just, it was a great time.
So did you make the recruiting trip to see Jack Salt when the opportunity came?
I didn't. I was like, I've made that trip enough. That's tough.
It's a long ways.
12 hours over the water. I don't like that.
So have you taken the kids there? Or have you guys taken a trip there? No, just.
No, we honestly, Tony's gone back a couple times because of players, but
Right.
and the team even. But no, I've always been like, I'd rather go somewhere new.
That's fair.
Did you meet Kirk Penny when you were out there? And do you know the Kirk Penny story?
Oh,
He tells his side of it.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. What did you hear about it? What's your recollection? Yeah. How Tony and Kirk first met.
They first met. Well, he did not break Tony's nose the first time they met, but soon after the fact. Yeah, the first time I met Kirk, he came by the house. He was 16, 15, 16. And we had a real heart-to-heart because his parents were in the middle of a divorce and something I understood. So, I mean, he just became a little brother to us so quickly. But, yeah, Tony always tells a story that he broke his nose, and that's when I knew he was gritty, and he was going to be good.
Well, Kirk told me the story one day when he was on the podcast. He said they were playing one-on-one.
Yeah, just to kind of feel him out and see if I think he was going to be on the team or not.
Yeah.
Kirk's like, well, there went that opportunity,
right? I think Kurt was going for a shot, and then, or maybe Tony was going for a shot.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, Tony's nose got broken somehow.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was a rebound or a shot.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but yeah.
I know Kurt still feels badly about it. And how long were you guys in New Zealand?
We were there for 3 years, kind of on and off. We'd stay during basketball season. We'd come back to the States because his dad was coaching at Wisconsin. We'd come back and watch that basketball season, which was kind of nice. They were opposite, so we kind of but we did go winter to winter, which wasn't ideal, but otherwise.
Winters in Wisconsin aren't the easiest.
No, Tony and I always tell the story. He's like, why would you live here? And he's like, Laurel, you can't choose where you're going to live. Excuse me. You can't choose where you're going to live based on the weather. I was like, I guess that's what they tell people to make them stay here. I don't know. Because yes, you do. You do.
That's so funny. I was a TV reporter in northern Wisconsin, and every day I asked one of my questions was when I had to interview people outside in the middle of winter, why do people live here? Right? It was so cold. Right? You would go outside and pieces of your body were just frozen. Just outside.
Yeah, that's not exaggerating. That's true.
It was incredible. So that might have changed for you going from Louisiana and living in Wisconsin in the middle of the winter.
Yes.
That had to be pleasant, right? So then you guys end up in and so that was a great season. Well, I guess you moved to Wisconsin and he coached for his dad.
Oh,
a lot of success there.
The first season we come back because Tony's dad was saying, I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this. If you want to be around for a while, around me while I'm still coaching, come finish out with me. I'll find you a place, a manager, which was awesome. So we come back. That year they go to the Final Four. And I swear that is what Tony got him hooked. I mean, he was like, I'm not going to be a coach, but I do want to rebound my dad. And then they went to the Final Four, and he's like, it wasn't that hard. This is fun. Let's do this. So total reroute of life again.
And then they go to Washington State, and you have the experience with the T-shirts. Right? How did you enjoy Washington State?
Again, great people. I mean, there's just great people everywhere. And that's a small town full of just family, salt-of-the-earth people. So my kids were little. It was a great place for them to grow up. There's really nothing to do there, but it didn't really matter. It's beautiful, too. It really is. But it was fun to watch that program go from where it was to where they took it. So It's a good time.
Were you okay with moving around?
I really was. I mean, it was. I didn't really. I guess I didn't consider that when we were getting married, how that would look. But I guess I always just felt like Tony and I are together, and we're good. There's good, like I said, there's good people everywhere. You move, you're sad to leave, and I always thought if you're not sad to leave, you're not living well. You should be living life in such a way that you're sad to leave people, but yet there's always good ahead, and that was always proven true. So, no, I mean, you're sad to leave, but it's new things can be good.
Yeah, sure. And he, the success you guys had at Washington State once again, how did you compare it with Wisconsin?
That's a good. I don't know enough about. I know that when Tony's dad took the Wisconsin team, to the tournaments and especially to the Final Four, it was the first time. I can't say the years, but it was the first time in a long time they'd done it. So Washington State was kind of like, okay, this is what his dad does. He takes a program that's in a not good place to a good place. That's his specialty. When we got to Washington State, the first game, Tony always tells a story. He'll come. Okay, I'm doing this thing. I'm doing this thing live. So, you have to edit this part out.
No.
I can't wait to hear this one. This will be great. So.
It is good. She's awesome. We know where you get all your principles from.
Absolutely. You guys.
Take care.
Sorry to bother you.
What were we saying? Washington State. Oh, yeah. Well, Tony always tells a story that I'm positive. I'm not really one to be like, oh, my gosh, and just look at the half-empty thing. But he said he came home from the first game at Washington State, and I was there like, what did we do? I think we made a mistake. Like this, there's no way we can make this program. We played some like foreign national team that was like a high school team, and we struggled. It was just so bad. And so I thought the turnaround there was remarkable.
It's incredible. And it was there where you guys, or now I guess Coach Ronnie Weidman started coming along for the ride. Talk about your relationship, that relationship. I know it's.
I'm going to give you a good story on Ronnie. Here you go. This is he came to be. You guys remember Ron Sanchez, obviously.
Of course.
Okay, so Ron was gathering the managers. Ronnie came to interview, or however that works, to be a manager, and Ron asked him some questions, and within that, basically Ron was kind of like, I don't think this is going to work out, because I think Ronnie had some stipulations. I don't know if I can be here at this time or these days, kind of stuff. I don't know how much time I really have to give to this a little bit. And Ron was like, yeah, it's not going to work, So Ronnie left, like, sorry, not gonna happen. And then Ronnie came back. I don't know how, a couple days, whatever, later, and was like, I've been thinking about this. I am ready to totally invest in this. And so it started totally opposite of how you would think of Ronnie, because Ronnie is a hard worker, get it done. By the time we left there, I do not exaggerate. I said to Tony, we cannot take another job if Ronnie doesn't come with us. He's just that valuable, and everybody knows it.
Yeah. Anyone that's talked to Ronnie loves him to death, because he's like one of the nicest, maybe human beings I've ever met. It's just like incredible in terms of like when you meet somebody and they leave an lasting impression, and that's totally him. Like he's part of our family. Like Christmas cards, like he's the man. Like he's just such a good dude. Yeah, I can't. You're so lucky to have him. And I've talked to, I won't say who, but ex-players have been like, if people only knew how much Ronnie and Laurel do for the program, they'd be shocked. But I think that's very telling in terms of like
he's
your
very
relationship.
much like you said. He's family. If I can't, and my kids too. If we can't get a hold of Tony, we call Ronnie.
Yeah. So 3 years at Washington State.
As the head coach.
What's that?
As Tony, the
Head coach.
Yeah, right. As the head coach. Yeah. Were you surprised? I mean, his last year there, you guys did not have a great record. Was it a little surprising that you got an offer from UVA?
Well, you probably know the John Oliver piece of that story. I mean, I do not think that this whole thing would have happened without him. You know, Jo had been at Washington State, so he was real familiar with the program, just how hard it is to get recruits there, how hard it is. Just they're kind of the ugly stepchild of the Pac-12. I mean, I love it. And I'm not saying that like it's ugly. I just mean that it's really hard in that conference to get people to come to Pullman. And so Jo just understood all that and the history of it and how down they were. So I don't think the last season mattered that much. I just think he so intimately or intricately knew the program that he was like, trust me, guys. You know, it was kind of so. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't feel that surprised. I think Tony had enough success, and he was young. I mean, it was a great opportunity, no question. But Virginia also wasn't in an awesome spot during that time. So, you know, and I don't think he was their first choice either. So, you know, it took a lot of different factors to make it happen.
What was the conversation like for you, the family, when you guys were just determining or deciding between going to Virginia and staying at Washington State?
Yeah, there was just kind of this feeling for me that this is it. I don't know, you know, that he'd had other really good opportunities and just never seemed like the right time or the right place for a number of reasons. And when this came along, I just had a different feeling to me. And when we came out here and went back, and I think we both were like, yes. And then, you know, Tony started thinking about all the repercussions of telling, you know, the players he was leaving, you know, the opportunity he had gotten there. We really did love it there. All the people he was going to have to say no to and goodbye. You know, just like, he was like, I'm going to call and say no, you know, because we had said, okay, we're going to do this. And then he said, no, I'm not. And I said, you know, I'm not saying one way or the other you should or shouldn't take it, but you should feel the same way for 24 hours. Like, don't take an hour and go, no, I'm not, you know, just like, let's just tell them we need another day. If they won't give us that, then fine, you know. And when he did, they said, sure. And another 24 hours. And obviously here we are. Yeah. So it's that close, you know?
Absolutely.
So when you were ushered in, I remember it was like secret mission 007, come into Charlottesville. What do you remember about that time? Like, where did you guys go? What did you guys see? That was sort of the lasting impression.
Well, I'm pretty sure we went to JPJ first, and they had all the lights out. They never turned them on because it was like, you know, super on the DL, and we don't even want anybody to know we're here. And so it felt kind of cool, you know, like, oh, you know, are you trying to hide us or is this cool? I don't know. It could have gone either way, but it felt cool. And I mean, geez, the facility was only 2-3 years old at the time, so
right.
Super impressive, amazing. JPJ and all the what we were coming from too is just totally different level. Yeah, I mean, we really liked. I remember meeting with Craig Littlepage and Jo and talking with them, and just being impressed with they were just realistic, their vision for the program, what they were looking for and hoping. Those are my main two memories, just being in JPJ and talking with them and really trying to see, you know, what the expectations were and what kind of program they ran. So I really liked all of that, obviously.
So what was the relationship, the pre-existing relationship with Jo?
There really wasn't one, I don't think. I'll have to ask Tony to make sure that's true, but that I know of, I think it was really just that Jo had a pre-existing relationship with Washington State. Okay. I don't think Tony and he knew each other, I don't think.
Just at the time, I mean, Virginia needed someone to step in after having a coach that where the culture wasn't the way it is now, right? And apparently, we had Jerry Ratcliffe on. Well, we interviewed him for 3 hours, and it was phenomenal. It was fascinating. He basically talked about the different eras during his 40 years of covering UVA basketball. Yeah. And we talked a lot about Dave Lato. We talked about Gillen. And he talked about the culture during the Lato years. And it was a tough time. And so it looked like that UVA needed someone who was a little bit more I'm not sure how to say it without offending anyone, but looked like maybe a little bit more someone who wasn't going to be yelling or cursing at the players, right? Someone who was going to maybe have a different character than Lato. And so that probably, I mean, I got to imagine that had to be part of the process of thinking for Jo and little Paige.
I think so too. I mean, I would want to say that, I don't know Dave well. We've met him and really liked him, but from everything that I know, and I know Tony knows more than I have, but I've only heard him say what a good guy Dave is. So I hate that that's the context, because I think he maybe had trouble, during games, and I mean the stress and what was happening as far as wins and losses. Who knows the effect that has on different people, but I do think he's a good guy, but I think you're right that they were looking for somebody that had a different demeanor, on the sideline.
Yep.
I was going to ask, the kids were so young at that age. What was that thought process like in terms of Charlottesville as a place to I was born and raised in Charlottesville, so obviously I'm biased here, but in terms of outside looking in, what did you think of Charlottesville as a place to raise your kids?
Well, I only heard good stuff. I'd never been, but I knew people who had been here and like, that's a great, just a great town. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember what they compared it to, because there's some place I liked, but now I can't remember. Anyway, I heard good things, and then I thought they would be really easy for the kids. They're 7 and 8, so I'm like, whatever, I mean, they'll just won't even notice. But man, that was not true. They really had a hard time leaving their friends. And it took 2 years, literally, before Anna would even call Virginia home. She would say, when are we going, like, to Washington? So, it wasn't easy to take them away from great relationships and a good, nice childhood, But, of course, we've grown to love it here. And I liked it right away. Charlottesville's, I think, an easy place to love. So.
Well, 12 years later or so, now, or I don't know, 10 or 11 years later, now Anna just finished high school last year. She is finishing up her first year at Wake Forest. Why did she decide on Wake instead of UVA?
I think multiple reasons. I think she wanted to get a little bit away, not too far, but enough. I think she wanted a smaller school. She loves UVA. And that was definitely, it stayed on her, it was always between whoever and UVA, even though I think she always felt like, I'm going to be Tony Bennett's daughter here, first and foremost. And especially in the national championship that season before her freshman year, it was like, you get it.
Yeah, sure. And then coming over to Virginia, the first 2 years, were there times where you guys might have said, maybe this isn't the right place, or you knew it was, even after that first and second year?
I really didn't feel like that. I think Tony had maybe a moment or two, especially, you're looking back at a team that was really talented, the team he left at Washington State that year. And you just never know what all you're getting into. And any like, oh, I didn't expect this or didn't realize that. And I think he had those moments of like, I don't know if we did the right thing. But we balance each other probably well there. I mean, I'm just like, we're here. We already made that decision. So this is where we're supposed to be. And it's going to be great. And let's move forward. So.
Right. And how did you handle if there was negative press, or when you heard people critical of you guys, or the family, or the coach?
Honestly, I mean, I want to say that I don't care, but that's not ever true. I mean, of course I care. I think mainly I don't pay attention. Like, we don't get the paper. We don't look at any of that stuff. So mainly it's just ignorance that doesn't bother me, maybe. And also Tony's almost always exceeded expectations. So I hear so much more positive stuff.
Sure.
Negative just seems to kind of, style play. Maybe they might say, I just don't agree. So I don't really care.
Yeah. No, I remember when I was coaching and Ty and Kobe's mom would come to games, I'd be like, you sit there. So let the fans sit here. Let all the parents sit here. Sit away from them. Because at some point, someone's going to be disgruntled. Somebody's going to say something, right? And I don't know if you have a plan or a policy when you go to games, how to tune that stuff out.
I really do tune it out. That's the best way to put it. I mean, my daughter will more be like, did you hear that? And I'm like, no. And I don't want to. Like, don't engage. I'm just more like that. Just don't give them the, pleasure or whatever. It's just like.
Right. So 2 things. One, I have to bring up the story. You may or may not remember this. You probably don't. It's probably like, I don't even think about it. But during 2016, 2017 Thanksgiving tournament in Florida.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Ty wasn't playing that much, right? And UVA, we won the first game.
What year is he?
He would have been a fourth year this year. So that would have been his first year.
Oh, he was okay. Yeah.
Right. So that was in Niceville, Florida, whatever it was. We played Iowa, I think, and somebody else to win the championship. And the team was sailing, but win the first game, and we walked past each other, and you say hi, and I'm like, hi, because I was upset that Ty didn't play. And that night I went home, and I was like, I can't believe my behavior of how I acted towards Laurel. She's the nicest person. If I was mad at Tony, whatever, which he's always told us, there's going to be times when on a recruiting trip, there's going to be times when you're going to be mad at me. Well, why would I be mad at you? Right? It's not your fault. So I'm hoping you forgot that, but I still have to apologize because I've been hanging on to that for 4 years.
It didn't make my radar. Parents they're for their kid. That's their job. It's not. I don't even take that personally. You know what I mean? It is Tony's fault, not mine.
And then there was the story where I got mad at somebody at the Duke game.
What happened?
When Anna, what's that?
Did Anna get involved? Right?
Anna, a fan was like yelling at Anna.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was right nearby, and I was like, I got so pissed. I was walking out to go to the bathroom or something, and I like said something to the fan.
You got in their face, and I was glad because I was like, I probably wouldn't say anything, but they needed to hear that.
But the guy was drunk and
Yeah.
semi-abusive, and I could not believe security wasn't doing anything. They were basically just standing there.
Well, it really was bad. He was in her face, like,
Yeah.
and being rude.
Right.
So
Right. But what's that?
made up for your other.
Absolutely. But also, I mean, it's easy to see like how somebody can get defensive, right? I mean, that's an extreme case,
Well,
right? But when somebody's saying something about critical of the person you love,
yeah.
or even just the program that you've been around, like that's hard not to pay attention to.
But it truly does come with the territory. You cannot enjoy all the people are so impressed with him, and rightly so, but you can't enjoy that and accept that and then say, but I'm not gonna, people can't say anything bad. Like, people are gonna have their opinion, and that's all it is, like,
Yep.
So it really doesn't matter to me what you think, not in a rude way, just if you knew him, you wouldn't think that. And who cares what you think about his style of play? Like, he's kicking butt, so you don't have to like it. You don't have to watch it.
Usually when Duke comes up, Dougie Fresh is quick to make a comment about their behavior pattern. So we missed him on this one.
I'll fill in, the school that pays kids to play there at school. Yeah, I fill it in for him. Always.
So, Laurel, we do a series that TW runs, a segment, on a photo and react,
Okay.
right? He'll show you pictures and images, and then you react to them. So if you just bear with us while we do this.
Let me set it up. And that's one of them. But here is the first one. What do you, this thing went a little viral. What are your thoughts on this?
Do you have the video that goes with it? Not that you should show it.
No, yeah, we do. But I just wanted to show this photo going, and I think it was on a bunch of podcasts, and ESPN put it on. It's been everywhere.
Well, of course, your kids keep you humble better than anything, right? So, I mean, all they think about that video is like, what are you wearing?
And what?
I love it.
And then I'm just going to go through these, and they're kind of random, so there's no particular order. All right, here's the next one. This is your post. Need someone to replace a shattered backboard.
That so on accident. Tony was so aggravated with me that he's like, why would you put that? I'm like, I did not put that. But it got on Twitter, right, or whatever.
Yeah, some guy found it on Twitter and posted it.
This is like a little local app, and I really wanted someone to come fix the backboard. I'm not sure somebody's gonna oh geez, that was hilarious.
And we had, obviously we had a 2K tournament, and Justin started talking about breaking the backboard. What do you remember about that?
I remember that, number one, it makes a great story. Two-hand dunk shatters it. And he said, don't worry, I'll pay for that. And I said, well, you're in the NBA now, so we're going to pick you up on it. Hold you to it. And Justin, if you're watching, you still owe us that.
He said he did when we had him on the other day on the Twitch interview with Eli. But Eli said he broke it first.
Yeah, we've gone through like 4. So.
It's not the first post for her new backboard, basically.
Eli said I gotta ask you a question. Eli said he threw a rock at it, trying to actually not throw the rock at the backboard, trying to throw the rock over the backboard, and he mistakenly hit the back. What's that?
I don't know. We've back and forth. With that story, I feel like it's a little bit more like he was mad and actually threw a rock at the backboard. I could be wrong, but that sounds likely, doesn't it?
But he also said he was punished.
I don't remember that.
He said he was punished for a month or 2.
What?
I was curious to know what the punishment was.
I honestly don't remember that he got punished. Maybe we made him work to help pay for it. I mean, that sounds like what we would do, so I'm just guessing. But most likely we gave him chores and, made him contribute toward replacement.
Okay.
Here's the next one is, what do you remember about or how were you feeling when you saw Tony go down it was a brief moment, but it was scary. Like what was going through your mind at that moment?
I mean, truthfully, where I was sitting, I didn't see him fall. I only saw it later on video. Someone told me, Tony just fell down, either fainted or something. So it's just word of mouth. And so I was just kind of trying to see what happened. And then I saw him, the first time I saw him, he had gotten up. They were walking him out. I forgot who asked me, maybe Ethan, do you want to come back, to the locker room and see him? I think it was halftime, right?
Right.
And so I was like, yeah, I mean, I didn't feel worried. I know how he if he gets up real quick, he gets dizzy. That's just something that happens. So I figured that's what had happened. But yeah, I just teased him when I saw him. I was like, are you trying to coach the rest of this game? So.
And then you already kind of touched on this. That was foreshadowing into the do you have a good Shaq story for us with your time at LSU?
Well, I did. I might have danced with him while I was there. I mean, I can guarantee that he doesn't remember that because he was probably dancing with like 20 of us at one time. But and I did. This is embarrassing, but I did stop him in the quad and ask him for his autograph. And then that was his freshman year. And then I gave it to a friend of mine, a huge basketball fan. And now I'm like, how did I get it? And then I gave it away. So.
But wait a minute. Let's talk about LSU longer because I watched the LSU football game with you once. We were at your house. All the recruits were over. And I forget who they were playing. It was a huge game. Going back. What's that?
Alabama?
I want to say it was Alabama. This was going back 3 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago. And it was a massive game. And you were quite a passionate fan.
I mean, I grew up watching LSU football. I grew up in a house that was like a mile or so. You could hear the LSU football games from our front yard. So, I mean, yeah, you just love LSU football. And if my kids didn't love LSU football, I'd be a bad parent. So, yeah, it's just down there, really.
And then this next one, the baptism of Devin Hall, and I know we briefly touched on your relationship with the church, but talk about like some of the players and how they also, many of them embrace it as well. I mean, I'm personally not religious, but I really admire their faith and all of it, and they really live it. It's quite amazing in terms of their involvement. So maybe
When you say they, you mean the players?
The players.
Yeah, I think, we've had so many. I mean, Mark and I talked about this earlier. We've had so many great guys come to this program. Some of them are people who share our faith. Some definitely aren't. But guys who, I feel like we have a lot of guys who do live out
Yeah.
whatever it is, that they believe. And it's certainly our joy, to see people come to the faith and believe what we think is true and gives such joy and peace. I mean, gosh, I remember that with Devin. It was so awesome.
So cool. And it was like right after senior night, right after the Louisville game, he goes, he high fives all the fans, and then he goes, and then we get in the car and go to that church right up the hill. It's like,
So cool.
to tie it all together is it's pretty special, very special. He still talks about today as like one of the best days of his life, which I think is really cool. And the next one, on a darker note, what do you remember about what was going through your head when you saw this image?
I didn't realize what it was when I first saw it. I'm sorry. Oh gosh, we were down in Florida on vacation when this was going on. We weren't in Charlottesville, and so we got the TV version, which is always, I think, the extreme parts, even though it was an extreme event. So we were just like, whoa! I mean, this looks like all war is broken out. That was just sad. And it still is such a sad thing that happened. But I do think we recovered, fairly well. I think we're still healing. I think we're still working on things that we learned during it. So I'm thankful for that. But it was, it's that time.
Yeah, we did, on the anniversary of this, I think all the guys band together, made a shirt for Heather Hayer, who passed away, and that's something we'll probably do every year, which I think that just tells you the community in Charlottesville and the players really care about this, and it's obviously a big deal. And then lighten up the mood from that. Do you have a guilty pleasure in terms of TV show? Tiger King, that's definitely mine. Mark, I'm not going to speak for you, but
Yes,
I think it is.
Joe Absolutely.
Where is there a guilty pleasure in terms of the TV show that you tuned into?
Well, I did watch the first 2 episodes of this, and I do intend to watch the rest. It's just kind of like a train, you can't help it.
Yes, that for sure is what it is.
But the first thing that came to mind when I saw this picture is, I don't know if you guys watched the NFL draft, but when Joe got drafted first, LSU quarterback.
That's right.
He's the only real Tiger King. So.
That's awesome, because that actually comes up when you Google Tiger King, that photo of him in his LSU uniform.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's one of the ones that pops up.
This is Mark, Ty's dad.
Oh, yeah.
And TW.
Is that Anna?
We were just talking about when Mark had to take up for you in that drunken.
Oh my gosh, that was great.
Tell Anna, please say hello. Tell her, come on.
Oh, I just woke up.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Anna, do you know TW?
No, we haven't met. Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
We were just talking about guilty pleasure in terms of TV show.
Oh,
We just watched Outer Banks.
And Love is Blind.
Yeah, Love is Blind.
Outer Banks, that's my favorite.
Outer Banks.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet. All right. We'll have to
Are you a
tune into
fan
that
of
one.
Joe Exotic, Anna?
Yeah, more than Carol Baskins.
Well, I don't mean a fan. I'm into the show.
The show.
I think it's pretty good. We actually didn't finish it, but it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Can't watch it all at once. It's a lot.
What's finishing school been like for you?
I'm finally done. Yesterday was my last day. I don't enjoy online school. I'm more of an in-person learning sort of girl, but I mean, we made it. Just hope we don't have to do it another semester. So.
We asked your mom about you deciding on Wake Forest versus UVA.
Yeah, that was a big decision. I'm wearing my Wake Forest boxers right now. I just I love my family, obviously, important to me, but I just wanted to get away from Charlottesville. Not that I don't like Charlottesville, but I thought that change would be good for me, just trying to make a name for myself somewhere else. And Wake is smaller, which is something else that I wanted to. So just thought I'd try it out, and I really love it. So
Get her to tell you the story of talking to Jim Ryan after the national championship.
this is seriously one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done. Okay, so after we won the championship, and we're all celebrating and stuff, it's like the best moment ever. And the supporter walks up to me and is like, so, what do you think about UVA now, huh? And I was like, I don't really want to answer college questions right now. I'm just brushed them off, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, maybe. And then a couple days later, I was on Twitter, and I see a picture that Jim Ryan tweeted out, and I was like, that was a reporter that I saw. Jim Ryan, and I feel so bad, and I won't let my dad tell him that story. But yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. I had no idea.
That's awesome. Oh, actually, while we have you here, this is our next photo for a reaction.
Oh yeah.
This is a look at the photo and get your reaction to it.
And this is
I've never seen him do that before.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like, that's unrecognizable.
Yeah, he never. It's not like he's doesn't show emotion, but he just never gets hyped up like that. We were together when he did that, and we looked at each other and we were like, whoa.
And of course, we tell him, and we're like, wow, we comment on this photo. Tony's always like, I was just doing it for the guys. I was just kind of, you know.
You were just as excited. Don't try to do that. Yeah, he gets embarrassed because we tease him about it.
I mean, all the pent up years for Virginia fans too. I mean, everyone that was like a scream heard throughout all of college basketball for us.
Yeah.
And then perfect timing with you here, and talk about this moment, family, confetti on the floor. I mean, what do you remember?
I just remember I cried. I obviously cried. I'm a crier. Everyone started crying. My grandma, that's Honey. We call her Grandma Honey. She started crying too, and we just all hugged each other and going on the floor and just seeing all the confetti. And you're literally like hugging every single person that you love in your family. That was a once in a lifetime sort of thing. Well, maybe not once in a lifetime, but
we'll see.
Hopefully it happens again. But it was just, you can never recapture that. Mm-hmm. Just being able to be around your entire family after winning
for a whole month
like that.
too.
Yeah.
Every
weekend. I didn't go to school.
Added benefit.
Yeah.
And then what about a relationship? I know it's tough. I've got the Dick Bennett shirt on now. For him to come to the games, what do you remember about that? The decision for him to actually come to the championship game, was that something you guys?
Well, we didn't know until like 5 minutes before. Because every day he'd be like, "No, I'm not going to go."
I don't think he did that about the championship.
He didn't.
Game.
He said he would go.
I mean, he did that always, but I think for this one, he was like, "No way, gonna miss it." I'm pretty sure.
I didn't ask him about it because he just was always like, I don't know. So I gave up and just let him make his decision. But yeah, he was really so happy he went. But it was so funny when they show the camera on him. He's always yelling, and it's like, Coach, you can't not do it. It's so funny.
And then. And the timing of you walking in.
I did that.
Yeah, you did this, but we're just going to get your reaction in terms of, and I think Mark had a question in terms of balancing the expectations for basketball and all. Maybe Mark.
I didn't take
well, I don't think I could have asked it better than you can, TW. So you already did it. So perfect. Thank you. I don't have to be the bad guy though.
No, in terms of like expectations for Eli, obviously, his dad NBA. What is that like?
Eli's arms aren't that strong in real life. That's
sibling.
Sibling rivalry. I love it.
Yeah, that's just crazy, making the same facial expression and everything. But Eli doesn't really talk about how he feels about all of that. I mean, I've definitely felt just kind of like, oh, like you're probably good at basketball just because of your dad. I know he's gotten that a lot. Like, oh, you must be really good because your dad's Tony Bennett. And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, we have places to practice, but that's not I don't know. I think there's definitely a lot of expectation from everyone else, but my dad does not place any pressure on us, especially my brother, to live up to that, because that was my dad's dream, and he worked his own way, and he's not like, oh, I expect you to do that now. That's not how it is. If my brother wants to work hard, my dad will encourage him and obviously help him in that, but he'd never be like, why aren't, like, you're not as good as me, what's with that? He's not like that, so.
Are they competitive in any way outside of basketball? Ping pong, maybe?
If you ever, okay. We had to stop playing spike ball, family spike ball.
Right, your mom saying that.
I'm joking. All of us are so competitive, and Eli won't play games with us unless, well, can you win? Like, let's put money on it. And we're like, without putting money on it. Oh, competitive in the family. That's
I was telling him how Dad broke out a sweat playing spike ball, ping
pong,
anything.
Everything. You can't. There's no halfway. You're either gonna win or you're not gonna win.
It's funny. Ty and Eli were playing against each other in the 2K tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you were. What's that?
We could hear you like yelling. We were downstairs. And he was just,
So we were on Twitch. We were on Zoom while the game was going on Twitch. Justin Anderson, myself, and so after the game, I asked Eli, "What was your dad doing during the game?" He's like, "He was telling me to get back on defense. He was telling me that transition defense was bad."
my dad came down and I was like, "Is he winning?" And he's like, "No, he's losing. He's playing or something like that." Just like that.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm looking in the mirror. I feel like I'm talking to myself in some ways, or you guys are talking about me actually.
And then this is the last one. To my man Ronnie. This moment.
That's
I
awesome.
I haven't seen that picture.
Me
actually.
neither.
I have it framed just because it's so cool to me. But talk about the relationship with him. I know you briefly touched on it, but like after the championship, what is she like? Ronnie now, you've seen him grow. He's got a daughter now living in Charlottesville. Like,
That's been the most fun to see Ronnie with his daughter, because he never was quite sure how he felt about being a dad, and then once he decided, and now that Emily, I mean, he is over the moon in love with that girl, and he's just, it's so cute. And I said to them, if we can't get in touch with Tony, we're like, Ronnie, can you help us, or where's Tony, or what should we do? Tony and Ronnie and I kind of have a little behind the scenes. How can we convince Tony to do this, or you get he's his work wife.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
My dad's been doing all these videos for the COVID-19 things, just like he did one for the ACC, one for nurses and people working and stuff like that. And to get Dad to do something, you have to remind him a lot and just be like, hey, like,
so Ronnie sends all the email,
to all of us. He sends the email, and then he'll be like, Anna, can you film it? And then Laurel, like, you remind him. Here's the like, Ronnie just knows how to do it. Yeah. It's a family effort.
He's the guy that makes things go for sure.
Oh,
100%.
I don't know.
That is so great.
Any of us would be without Ronnie.
So prior to COVID, are we done, T-Dubs, on the second?
Yeah, we're done. That was great.
Prior to the COVID-19, what was the summer plan for both of you, for the family, entire family?
Well, we were gonna go to Italy for the tournament. Like every 4 years you go for I'm so excited. I've never been to Italy, but that's not happening.
I was supposed to go to Greece because we're having a 50th birthday thing for a friend. Not doing that. We usually try to just do the beach. Our family always has a beach trip every summer, so probably that. I don't know. Maybe it'll still happen, but
I hope so.
We see our families. We always go to Wisconsin, see Tony's family, go down to Louisiana. It's so up in the air what we're gonna do, huh? How about you guys? Where are you both, by the way?
I'm in the Bay Area. I'm in south of Oakland a little bit, but locked into a house basically.
Pretty serious there, right?
I don't know. Like I only know my neighborhood. Like I go to the mailbox. That's pretty much it. So if there, it seems safe there. But no, I think it is pretty bad in San Francisco itself. But like outside of Bay, it's pretty super spread out. So I don't think it's as bad. We locked down really. I think we're the first city and county to lock down. So it's not as bad here as where Mark is. I know Mark knows a lot of people impacted and passed away.
I'm in New York City, and I know some people that have passed away and people that have been sick, and fortunately we have recovered. But it's still a big mess up here. And when you talk to I've had a couple of friends who are doctors, and they're still fearful of this thing. That it can really spread. It still has such a potential for spreading.
Yes.
So
articles from up your way are scary.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
And my parents are elderly, and they're not too far, so it's just tricky times, right? We don't go visit them. It's super awkward, but it is what it is. It's just kind of dealing with it. It's the new norm.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll ever feel normal. I hope not, but yeah, it's crazy times.
It's true. Every day I go outside, if I do go outside and I'm walking around and seeing people in masks, it's just like I can't get over it every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's incredible.
Yeah,
It's
I think I
incredible.
go to the grocery store and I put my mask on. I'm like, this will not ever feel normal. It is.
I know.
That's 2 times. You feel terrible if you don't. At first, I was like, I'm mask, and then you're like, I'm being rude. That's how other people feel.
Yeah.
You're not protecting them.
Right.
And you know, and once most people started wearing it, you're like, I gotta do the right thing. So
With
just,
UVA.
Well, New York requires it.
okay.
So, but people are testing the ruling very often, and it seems like more and more people are New York City's starting to resume, I guess, more people moving around. And I think for a while, a lot of people who had country houses or houses out in the Hamptons had left New York City. And now you see it starting to get a little more crowded. And the nice day outside, Central Park is now getting a little bit more crowded, and people are not wearing masks as often. So it's going to be, I'm curious to see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
And how is it in Charlottesville? Is it still locked down for a while?
Yeah, and I think here, at least my experience, it seems like people are really on board with the plan. People seem to be really trying to follow the rules, and everybody's. You don't see anybody anywhere. I mean, the grocery store is really the only place everybody tends to go. You're trying to keep the restaurants open. A lot of people are ordering stuff. I mean, a couple of staples places have closed down for good, which is super sad. And yeah, it's just happening so much everywhere. I hate that. But yeah, I think Charlottesville it hasn't gotten bad here. Whether it's just because many cases haven't come here, or people really have stayed kind of locked down. Both probably.
Obviously, we're all over the world hoping. I just saw an article actually that Italy is starting to reopen.
Okay. Wow.
So who knows? You guys may be able to take that trip.
Watching, right? And hoping that it goes well, all this reopening.
Yeah.
Hoping we get to be next.
Absolutely.
Maybe Tomas can go home, get out of Grant's house.
Their videos are so funny.
Yeah. Did you guys watch those?
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
So,
He's got a few more up his sleeve. I think we're trying to help him start playing those out and get him out the door, which is really cool.
creative. They're both hilarious, so it's good.
Laurel, such a pleasure. We really appreciate it.
That was really fun spending time with you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And Anna, thanks
Party.
for the improvisational visit. We really appreciate that.
Yeah,
too.
that was super
awesome.
cool. The fans are gonna love hearing from you guys. I know it's rare that you guys do this, so we do absolutely appreciate it and don't take it for granted.
For you guys, thank you.
And we appreciate the quick hello from Coach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, only person we missed was Eli, but we had him on Sunday.
There you go.
A different show. It's cool.
And we've got some special 2K, COVID relief stuff coming. We'll send it your way. So
Okay.
yeah, and some masks as well.
Need this? All right.
Yeah, they're cool masks. So, listeners, please don't forget subscribe to us on YouTube and like us, as well as follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Spotify, and subscribe to us on Apple as well. Thanks for joining. For T-Dubs. Say it again.
I said buy the gear. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for that plug.
You.
Yeah. And which you can find on lockerroomaccess.com. Right. For T-Dubs in Cali, Dougie Fresh, who had to leave us a little early, across the river in Jersey City. I'm Mark Jerome in New York City, giving you Locker Room Access. See you next time.
Thank you so much.